Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before you settle into your chair, let me say something that may tighten your chest. Some women don't pull away because they're confused. They pull away because they're already emotionally stepping closer, and that scares them. If that sentence made you uneasy, good. That means you're ready for what most men are never taught about desire. Before we go deeper, do me a small favor that helps this channel survive. Subscribe, like this video, and stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share can change how you read women forever. I'm speaking to you not as a performer, but as a psychologist who has listened to thousands of women whisper truths they never say out loud. One of the first hidden signs a woman wants to give herself to you emotionally is not loud affection. It's a subtle shift in how she rests around you. Her nervous system softens, her shoulders drop, her voice lowers. Around most men, women stay alert. Around a man they feel safe offering themselves to, vigilance fades. That calm is not boredom. It is trust forming beneath the surface. Here's the part men often misread. When a woman begins to feel this pull, she may test distance instead of closeness. She might take longer to reply. She might seem suddenly reserved. This isn't rejection. This is her checking whether you will remain grounded without chasing her. Women are biologically wired to surrender emotionally only to men who can hold their own center. If you panic when she steps back, her body learns you are not safe to lean into. Another sign hides in how she listens. Not the polite listening everyone gives, but focused, absorbing attention. She remembers small emotional details you forgot you shared. She brings them up later, not to impress you, but because they mattered to her. That is attachment beginning to root. When a woman starts carrying your inner world with her, she is already opening the door internally. Pay attention also to how she allows you to see her imperfections. A woman who wants to give herself does not perform perfection. She reveals uncertainty, frustration, even vulnerability, then watches how you respond. If you don't rush to fix her, judge her, or minimize her feelings, something powerful happens inside her. She feels chosen without being consumed. This is where many men unknowingly fail. They mistake emotional opening for a cue to accelerate, but real desire deepens in slowness. When you allow space, when you stay present without pressure, her desire doesn't fade. It concentrates, and that concentration is the beginning of a woman deciding quietly that you are the man she could step toward fully. There is another sign most men overlook because it doesn't feel flattering at first. A woman who wants to give herself to you will begin to challenge you emotionally, not with drama, but with subtle resistance. She may question your opinions, push back on your certainty, or test your boundaries in small ways. This is not disrespect. This is her nervous system asking a critical question. Can this man remain steady when I don't agree with him? A woman cannot surrender emotionally to a man she feels she has to manage. When she challenges you, she is watching your response far more than your answer. Do you become defensive? Do you over-explain? Do you retreat? Or do you stay calm, grounded, and curious? Masculine safety is not about dominance. It is about emotional regulation. When you don't crumble or attack under pressure, her body records that as strength. And women don't give themselves to words. They give themselves to how a man makes them feel in their body. Another hidden sign appears in the way she shares her past. Not the highlight reel, but the emotionally charged stories. When a woman begins to tell you about heartbreak, betrayal, or moments she felt unseen, she is inviting you into her emotional history. This is not casual conversation. This is vulnerability with risk. She is unconsciously asking, will you respect the parts of me that were hurt, or will you use them against me? Notice how she reacts when you speak about other women or relationships. A woman who wants to give herself won't always show jealousy openly. Instead, she may go quiet. Her energy shifts. She becomes observant. This isn't manipulation. It's her gauging her emotional investment. Women monitor threat before they deepen attachment. If she didn't care, she wouldn't notice. There is also a physical sign that isn't overtly sexual. She mirrors you, your posture, your pace of speech, even your breathing. This happens subconsciously when emotional alignment begins. It's the nervous system syncing. When a woman's body starts matching yours, intimacy is already forming beneath the surface, long before touch. Here's the truth. Most dating advice will never tell you. When a woman wants to give herself, she doesn't rush toward you. She orbits you. She creates reasons to be near without demanding closeness. She lingers after conversations end. She finds excuses to continue dialogue. This is approach without exposure. She is letting desire grow while protecting herself. If you interrupt this process with pressure, labels, or urgency, she retreats. But if you remain present, warm, and emotionally contained, her orbit tightens naturally. And one day, without announcement, you'll notice she has stopped circling and started leaning. That moment is not accidental. It is earned through emotional leadership most men never learn to offer. There is a quiet moment when a woman begins to imagine you in her future, and it rarely sounds romantic. It shows up as curiosity about your routines, your values, and how you live when no one is watching. When she asks how you handle stress, how you spend your mornings, or what you do when you're disappointed, she's not making conversation. She's assessing compatibility at a nervous system level. A woman only considers giving herself to a man she can emotionally survive with long term. One of the most revealing signs is when she allows silence with you. Most people rush to fill quiet moments because silence feels unsafe. When a woman sits comfortably in silence beside you, her body is saying, "I don't need to perform here. This is profound." Emotional surrender begins when effort dissolves. If she can exist next to you without entertainment or reassurance, you've crossed an invisible threshold. You may also notice that she begins to seek your emotional response more than your approval. Instead of asking, "Is this okay?" she watches your face, your tone, your energy. Women attune deeply to emotional signals. When she cares about how her presence affects you, not whether you praise her, attachment is forming. She is beginning to see you as emotionally significant. Another hidden indicator is how she reacts to your boundaries. A woman who wants to give herself does not push endlessly. When you say no calmly, when you set a limit without anger, she respects it. And inside, something relaxes. Boundaries create safety. Safety creates desire. If she were only interested in attention, she would resist your limits. If she is interested in you, she honors them. Watch for a shift in how she shares joy. She begins to tell you good news first, small wins, personal moments. This is called emotional prioritization. You become a reference point in her inner world. She wants you to witness her life, not just participate in it. That desire to be seen by you is a powerful sign of emotional opening. Here is where many men sabotage themselves. They sense this closeness and try to lock it down with certainty, pressure, or intensity. But a woman gives herself when she feels chosen freely, not claimed prematurely. The paradox is this: the less you try to possess her, the safer she feels offering herself. When you stay emotionally available, but not needy, present but not invasive, her trust deepens. Her nervous system learns that intimacy with you does not cost her autonomy. And for a woman, that realization is intoxicating. By the time you notice these signs, understand this. Her decision is already forming internally. She is not wondering if she feels something. She is wondering whether you are the man who can hold what she is about to give without dropping it, misusing it, or demanding more than she is ready to offer. There is a subtle emotional reversal that happens when a woman wants to give herself to you, and it's easy to miss if you're not paying attention. She stops trying to impress you and starts trying to understand you. Compliments fade, curiosity deepens. She asks questions that don't lead anywhere obvious, questions about your fears, your regrets, the moments that shaped you. This is not idle interest. This is her mapping your inner landscape to see if it feels safe to enter. Another sign appears in how she handles your flaws. A woman who is only mildly interested will point them out playfully or dismissively. A woman who wants to give herself responds differently. She becomes gentle. She doesn't excuse your flaws, but she doesn't weaponize them either. She watches how you hold yourself when you're imperfect. That observation tells her whether intimacy with you will feel like refuge or exposure. Notice also how she reacts when you pull back slightly, not as a tactic, but naturally. If her energy leans in instead of disappearing, that's significant. She checks in. She initiates contact, not dramatically, but consistently. This is her bridging emotional distance. Women don't chase attention. They close emotional gaps when attachment is growing. One of the most telling signs is emotional containment. When she's upset, she doesn't explode at you or shut you out completely. She allows you to witness her emotions without blaming you for them. This means she trusts you not to panic, fix, or judge. Emotional containment is a prerequisite for surrender. No woman gives herself to a man she feels emotionally unsafe unraveling around. You may notice she begins to include you in her private decision-making. She doesn't ask you to decide for her, but she values your perspective. This signals respect. Respect is not optional for desire. It is foundational. When a woman respects you, her desire stabilizes instead of fluctuating. There is also a physical cue that is often misunderstood. Her touch becomes slower, more intentional, and less frequent. This is not disinterest, it's restraint. When a woman feels deeply, she often slows things down to protect the connection. Fast physical escalation is easy. Emotional surrender is not. Here's the truth men rarely hear. When a woman wants to give herself, she becomes more selective, not more available. She filters her energy. She invests deliberately. If you misread this as withdrawal and push harder, you signal insecurity. Insecurity kills safety. Safety is what opens her. Your role is not to convince her. It is to remain emotionally solid, curious, and grounded. When you do that, she doesn't feel pulled. She feels invited. And women give themselves only when the invitation feels safe, unforced, and respectful of their timing. By now, if you're honest with yourself, you can feel which of these signs you've experienced before and misunderstood. Awareness is the beginning of mastery. And mastery in relationships is never about control. It's about presence. There is a moment when a woman stops scanning for alternatives, and it happens internally long before exclusivity is spoken. You'll notice it in how her attention sharpens when you're together. She's less distracted by her phone, less reactive to the room, more tuned into subtle shifts in you. Attention is energy, and when a woman directs it consistently toward one man, she is already investing emotionally in a way she does not take lightly. Another hidden sign is how she handles your success and your setbacks. When she celebrates your wins without competition and responds to your struggles without losing attraction, something rare is happening. Many women admire confidence, but only those ready to give themselves can remain connected when you are human. If she stays present when you're not at your best, she is seeing you as more than an image. She is relating to you as a partner, even if the word is never spoken. Listen carefully to how she speaks about we, even casually. It may sound harmless, almost accidental. We'd probably like that place. We'd handle that differently. This is not planning your life for you. It's her mind experimenting with togetherness in low-risk language. Women test emotional futures quietly before committing to them emotionally. You may also feel a shift in how she receives your care. At first, women often deflect kindness to protect themselves. When she begins to accept your support without minimizing it, something has changed. She lets you help. She doesn't apologize for needing. That acceptance is intimacy. Independence does not disappear when desire grows. Defenses do. There's also a sign that feels counterintuitive. She becomes more emotionally honest about her doubts, not to push you away, but to see how you respond to complexity. When a woman voices uncertainty and doesn't immediately resolve it, she is giving you a chance to show emotional maturity. If you listen without fear, without pressure, without trying to persuade, she feels safer going deeper. Here's where many men get impatient. They want clarity, confirmation, reassurance. But a woman gives herself when she feels emotionally met, not interrogated. Your steadiness during ambiguity tells her more than any promise ever could. Pay attention to how she leaves interactions with you. Does she seem calmer, more grounded, more herself? Emotional safety leaves a physiological imprint. If time with you regulates her instead of draining her, she will seek that state again and again. At this stage, understand this deeply. Her desire is no longer a question of attraction. It is a question of trust. And trust is built not through intensity, but through consistency. When you show up as the same man across moods, moments, and misunderstandings, her body relaxes into you. That relaxation is not passive. It is the beginning of a woman choosing, quietly and powerfully, to offer you access to her inner world. Now pay close attention, because this sign is almost invisible unless you're truly awake to her energy. A woman who wants to give herself will begin to reveal her pleasures, not sexual ones yet, but the things that light her up internally. She talks about books that moved her, music that made her cry, small rituals she cherishes. These details are gifts, tiny emotional breadcrumbs, and she shares them because she wants you to understand her inner landscape. She's inviting you into her world without demanding entry. Watch for how she handles your emotional exposure in return. A woman ready to give herself doesn't dismiss, mock, or avoid your vulnerable moments. She may remain quiet, giving space for your feelings to exist. She may ask subtle questions later, checking in without pressure. This is her testing whether emotional intimacy can exist safely with you. Women give themselves emotionally first, and they watch carefully who honors that surrender. Another hidden indicator appears in how she communicates when apart. It's not excessive texting or calls, it's presence in absence. She might share something small that reminded her of you, or a fleeting thought she didn't need to tell anyone else. That's emotional tethering. She is mentally and emotionally including you in her day, without obligation. The brain doesn't form attachment to casual observers. It forms it to men who feel like consistent, safe points of reference. Physical energy also signals desire before words ever arrive. She may brush against your arm lightly, linger near you in a group, or maintain subtle eye contact longer than necessary. These touches are not casual. They are tests. Her body is calibrating. Is he steady? Does he notice without overreacting? When a woman starts doing this naturally, she's already contemplating closeness. You may notice that humor changes too. She teases you in ways that feel playful but reveal observation. She notices your quirks, your patterns, and she makes you the subject of gentle, affectionate commentary. This is bonding at the nervous system level. Shared laughter is emotional glue. Women use it to measure warmth, patience, and tolerance, the very qualities that make them feel safe giving themselves. Here's the critical insight most men miss. Desire is never linear. Women oscillate internally between closeness and caution. When you witness this, do not chase, do not pressure. Your task is to remain anchored. Emotional availability without neediness, curiosity without intrusion. These are the forces that allow her nervous system to move from testing to surrender. The moment you see all these signs together, the subtle emotional breadcrumbs, the tethering in absence, the playful teasing, the gentle touches, understand this: she is already leaning toward giving herself. You may not hear it, you may not see it outright, but her body and her mind are deciding quietly, almost invisibly, that you are worth the leap. And that decision, once fully formed, will shift everything. Here is a truth that almost no one tells men, and it's essential if you want to understand desire. A woman who wants to give herself will begin to prioritize your presence over her own distractions. She may not say it aloud. In fact, she rarely does. But notice how she rearranges her attention. Not her schedule, not her life, but her energy, so that you occupy mental and emotional space in her day. This is not convenience. This is unconscious choice, and it is one of the most powerful indicators that surrender is forming. Another sign is the way she talks about boundaries. At first, she may have been rigid or evasive, but slowly, she begins to share where she feels safe and where she doesn't. She tests your response by revealing these limits. If you respond with patience and respect, her nervous system relaxes further. Giving herself doesn't start with words or physical closeness. It starts with the unspoken permission to exist fully with you. Watch for how she reacts when you express yourself authentically. If you show excitement, frustration, or passion, does she shy away or lean in? Women who want to give themselves lean in. They observe without judgment. They feel emotionally connected to your expression and begin to mirror it subtly. That mirroring is an unconscious signal of alignment. It is intimacy forming without performance or demand. Her curiosity about your inner world will intensify. She asks not because she is prying, but because she wants to understand you on a deeper level. She notices inconsistencies in your mood, remembers what energizes you, and pays attention to what worries you. This is her mapping the emotional terrain of your life, a prerequisite for emotional surrender. A woman does not do this lightly, and only rarely for casual connection. Physical cues continue to follow the emotional ones. She may lean in closer in conversation, maintain subtle touches longer, or let her gaze linger just a beat too long. These moments are calibrated tests. Can I be near him and feel safe? Can I expose desire without regret? Every slight touch and glance is her body rehearsing consent in slow motion. Here is the paradox many men fail to understand. The closer she feels, the more cautious she may appear. Desire grows in tension, in testing, in observation. She is not stepping back from you. She is evaluating whether the foundation you've created is strong enough to support her giving fully. If you remain grounded, attentive, and emotionally consistent, that tension resolves naturally. She begins to lean, gradually, willingly, without being pushed. And the moment she chooses to cross that invisible line, everything changes. The energy shifts from testing to trust, from curiosity to surrender. And you, as a man who has learned patience, awareness, and emotional leadership, become the anchor in which she feels safe offering herself entirely. Finally, the most powerful and often overlooked sign is how she allows consistency into your shared moments. A woman ready to give herself doesn't just notice intensity or charm, she notices reliability. She observes whether your actions match your words over time. Do you show up emotionally the same way when she's happy, frustrated, or quiet? Do you remain steady when life is messy? Her nervous system scans for these patterns, and once she perceives them, surrender becomes possible. Pay attention to how she expresses gratitude, not just for gestures, but for your presence itself. It may be a quiet acknowledgement of a conversation, a subtle smile when you listen, or a small reflection of your care back to you. These seemingly minor signals are emotional signposts. She is recognizing you as safe, she is valuing your consistency, and she is beginning to trust her vulnerability with you. Notice also the moments when she allows intimacy without expectation. She shares a story, a laugh, or even silence, knowing there is no immediate payoff required. She doesn't measure your reactions or demand validation. In these small acts, she is practicing emotional surrender. This is not reckless or impulsive. It is calculated trust, and it is how real attachment grows. Another indicator is how she negotiates closeness without forcing it. She initiates contact when she feels drawn, not when she feels obliged. She stays present in conversations, even about mundane topics, because emotional alignment with you matters more than casual chatter. Her desire is showing itself in attentiveness, not theatrics. You may also feel her energy settle when you are together. There is a subtle, almost imperceptible shift. Her body softens, her movements slow, her attention deepens. This is nervous system synchronization. Desire, true desire, is not only emotional or sexual. It is physiological. When her body unconsciously mirrors yours, she is already leaning into you at a level deeper than words can convey. The ultimate sign, though, is patience. She no longer rushes, manipulates, or tests in obvious ways. She allows the connection to grow naturally, at its own pace, because she has recognized that you are the man who can hold her emotionally. She doesn't need to perform, to prove, or to demand. She simply begins to lean, to trust, to allow herself to exist fully with you. If you have followed all these signs carefully, if you have remained grounded, consistent, and emotionally present, you will notice a shift. Suddenly, her attention, her care, her curiosity, and her subtle touches converge. She is no longer orbiting. You are now the center she moves toward. And in that moment, understand this clearly. She has chosen to give herself, not because of pressure, persuasion, or words, but because you became the man who makes emotional surrender feel safe, natural, and inevitable. This is desire at its deepest level. This is the invisible path to intimacy that most men never see. And when you recognize it, you will never look at relationships or women the same way again.